But one of the things we want to do is, how could someone do something at home that is logical? Kenna, you got some thoughts on how someone could check out their basic health by doing some measurements. What are those measurements?
Right. So one thing that's really easy to do at home is going to be to check your waist circumference, which is relatively cheap. You just need one of those flexible tape measurers. You can get it at the dollar store, or it comes in almost all your basic sewing kits. And what you're going to do is just going to stand up nice and straight, and you're going to take that tape measurer. You're going to want to make sure that you have no bulky clothes on. It's best done just right on the skin. And you're going to take it and you're going to fold it around where your belly button lies, because that's generally the largest part of your waist. So you're just going to wrap it around. You don't want it to be too tight where it's squeezing you or anything like that, because that's going to give you inaccurate results. Take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, that's when you're going to get the best measurement. And it's best to do it about 3 times. That way you make sure you're really getting that accurate read.
And what is that going to give us in terms of, what's the circumference going to give us in terms of the assessment? What will we get from measuring our girth?
That's going to help to see if you're high risk for cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes. If you hold more of your fat around your abdomen, it shows that individuals are at higher risk for developing these later on in their life.
Got it. There's another one that we've used that most people can use at home. It's a real simple one. Which is that one?
That one's going to be the waist to hip ratio. So you are going to start with that waist ratio that I just explained. But in addition to that measurement, you're going to go ahead and also take your hip circumference.
Alexander, one of the things that you did when you did your competition, when you were doing your stuff as a competitor, one of the things that you were doing is you were competing, and weight was very important. Tell us how that kind of stuff affected you, and how could the BIA be useful in the world of, let's say, high-performance collegiate wrestling?
So when it came to wrestling, there was a couple different things that you would do to strategically approach the season. So the season's around 6 months. Most of the time, wrestlers tend to gain weight in the off season. So you would do a couple different things. At the beginning of the season, they would have you use a caliper by a trained individual, and they would measure your body fat and do pretty much a calculation to see how much weight you could lose in a timely manner that was considered healthy for an average individual. And these individuals were allowed to cut a certain amount of weight within that time frame. So they pretty much gave you a plan of what you could and could not cut. I think the lowest I was ever allowed to cut was 184, and kind of just showing you kind of what's going on here. So what they would do is kind of just show you what your BMI is. I'm going to switch over to my screen here, and you can kind of see just the reference ranges here. So below 18.5, they have underweight. 18.5 to the rest of them is kind of just going into those reference ranges. And like Kenna was saying, they would do an analysis depending on what type you had. So there's a couple. You have your android, which is more of that apple shaped, and then your pear, which is gynoid. So they would measure for females and males completely different. So as you was approached, you would either take a couple different dietary regimens and kind of approach to a different aspect of how you would go to cutting weight. So whether it was certain people did better just doing fats and proteins, some people did better just managing their carbs, some people did better just lowering their caloric intake. So by having that BMI, you can see what your total calorie output for the day, for living cost is a good way of saying it. So what's the cost of living for every day?